To make my single welt pocket, I have one side of the back piece of my trouser. I have my interfacing. My interfacing is in two pieces. I have two pieces of the same measurement. So the width of my interfacing is 5.5 inches by 2 inches. Both of them are of the same size. I have two linings for my pocket. One lining is made of the same fabric as the trouser piece. The width is 6 inches and the length is 8 inches. The second lining for the pocket is 1 inch shorter than the lining, which is made from the main fabric. The length is 7 inches and the width, of course, is just the same as that of the lining, which is the main fabric, which is 6 inches. So now I'm going to be flipping this over to the back or the wrong side. This is my dart, which I've already sewn, and the length of my dart is 4 inches. So I'm just going to come down from my dart, from the beginning of my dart, by 2.75. So I'll mark 2.75 here. Next, I'm going to take one of the pieces of my interfacing and I would mark the center by folding it in two halves and just marking which part is the center on the up and the down. So here I've marked the center of my interfacing. Now on this point where I came down by 2.75, I will just place my interfacing here. I'm going to iron my interfacing onto the fabric. So here I have my interfacing ironed on the wrong side of my back trouser piece. So next I'm going to pick up the lining, which is the same fabric as my main fabric. On the wrong side of the fabric, I'm going to mark the center. Also going to locate 2.75. So starting from the beginning here, I'm going to mark 2.75 downwards, just like I did for the trouser piece. Next, I'm also going to locate the center of my interfacing. I'll mark it out. So I'll place the center of my interfacing on the center of lining. Now on this pocket lining, I'm going to be finding the midpoint of the length, which is 1 inch. So I'll mark 1 inch here. On this center point here, I'm going to mark 0.25 upwards and downwards. So I have 0.25, a quarter of an inch downwards and 0.25 upwards. The width of the pocket is going to be 4.25. And I'm going to be dividing that number by 2. So that means I'm going to be marking 2.1 on this side and 2.1 on this other side. So I'll mark 2.1 here. And 2.1 on this other side. I'm going to be connecting all these lines. Width of our pocket is 4.25 and the length is half of an inch. So now I'm just going to come in here by 0.25 or quarter of an inch. I'm also going to come in here by 0.25 here as well. So I'm just going to draw a line to connect from this point to connect to that 0.25 mark. So now I have the shape of my pocket out. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'll pin it to my trouser piece. So this is my trouser piece and this is the right side, which is facing me. So I'm just going to place this pocket right side facing right side. So this is the right side of the pocket and it's going to be facing the right side of the trouser piece. As you pin, make sure this center point matches up with the dart. And next I'll head over to my sewing machine and sew around this rectangular shape. So I'm going to cut this open so that I'll be able to turn it to the right side. Can you see this lining part? I'm going to be turning it inside. You see it's not relaxed, so what it means is that we need to iron it. So now watch what I'm going to do. This is the wrong side, of course. So I'm just going to fold this by about half of an inch. Can you see what I'm folding? This pocket lining, I'll just fold it by about half of an inch like this, and I will iron it. And I'm just going to lift this part up, this lining, this piece of lining which is made of fabric, up like this, and I'm going to iron here further. You can see it's not relaxed, so you want to make sure it's relaxed. So next I'm just going to take a small strip of hemming glue. I'm going to place it under here. Can you see? I'll place it like this, then I'll close it up, and then I'll iron. So placing a strip of hemming glue underneath your pocket like that, the way I just did, is going to keep it in place for a long time. Next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to head over to my sewing machine, and then I will lift this part up like this. Can you see this part? This part that has like a triangular shape. I'm going to lift it up like this, and I'm going to sew this part with my sewing machine. Just here, let me use my scissors to point it so you can see it clearly. So I'm going to be sewing along this line, this half-inch line here, just here. That is the length of my pocket here, and also on the opposite side as well. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing. So I'm just going to lift up this triangle shape this way, and I'm going to be sewing here. Now that I've secured both sides of my pocket opening, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be attaching the second piece of lining, which is an actual lining. So I'm just going to pin it down to this other lining piece. I'm going to be sewing around this pocket piece by 0.25 of an inch, and this is just to hold these two lining pieces together. Put these two pocket and lining pieces together with a quarter of an inch stitch. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a piece of lining fabric here, which I've cut in bias, and I'm going to use it to finish off the edges of this pocket lining. I'm going to be sewing this pocket piece together with the waist of the trouser.